Hey everyone, Kelly Dean Allen here with you again. Today we're going to slow things down a whole lot and have a look at the, or my picks for, at least, top 10 slow and chill guitar solos of all time. Now, I think it goes without saying that speed and technical prowess on the guitar when it comes to guitar soloing does not always equal a better solo. Sometimes slow and easy wins the race, as some of the most beautiful and memorable guitar solos in rock and roll history are on the more laid back and chill side of things. So with that said, let's dig into our top 10. So then, I would be remiss to leave this very famous down-tempo guitar solo off of this list, as it's likely one of the very first solos one would think of when one thinks of a slow rock guitar solo. And that solo is the solo to November Rain by Slash and Guns N' Roses. This is Slash at his most tasteful, melodic, and expressive, with perfect phrasing throughout. And those bends. Let's check it out. At number 9, we have another slow jam bendfest for you, this time with the late great Jeff Beck and the solo to 'Cause We've Ended as Lovers from 1975. Back when Jeff Beck was still using a pick most of the time. This track was actually written by Stevie Wonder, if you didn't know that, and gifted to Jeff Beck as an apology for keeping the track Superstition all for himself. Because you see, Superstition was initially written for Jeff Beck, but the record company stepped in and said to Stevie, there's no damned way that you're giving that song away to another artist, because it's going to be a major hit. And of course, they were correct. No mind, because we got 'Cause We've Ended as Lovers, and it remains one of Beck's most memorable and beautiful guitar instrumentals. Let's check out the solo. Onward to number 8, and at number 8 we have the remarkable down-tempo guitar solo to Firth of Fifth by Steve Hackett and Genesis. Arguably one of the most melodic and beautiful prog rock guitar solos ever put down. By combining volume pedal swells, Fernandez Sustainiac pickups in his guitar, keep those notes ringing, coupled with a perfect sense of melody, Hackett put down what some have called his crowning achievement during his time with Genesis throughout much of the 70s. I simply adore this guitar solo. Let's check it out. At number 7, we have the late great Irish guitarist Gary Moore. Now, Gary, throughout his career, had put down any number of incredible, melodic, and tastefully played slow and laid-back guitar solos. Most notably, and likely his most famous, would probably be the two solos from his 1990 classic Still Got the Blues, when he stylistically shifted from rock and metal to focus his attention on the blues. However, I'm not going with that solo as my pick. My pick at number 7 is his absolutely gorgeous guitar solo to the Thin Lizzy classic Still in Love with You. You see, Gary put down this solo and then promptly left the band before the album's release. The album's producer prompted Gary's replacement, Brian Robertson, to re-record the solo before the album's release, to which Brian replied, "I can't do any better than that," along with bandleader Phil Lynott insisting that Gary's solo stay on the recording just the way it is. Smart choices all around. Let's give it a listen. So then, number 6. Now, this one is a little bit of a cheat, because while this track is very slow and laid back, as is the rhythm underneath the solo itself is quite technically difficult and quite fast and shreddy at times, though I still think it qualifies as a down-tempo solo. Now, the solo I speak of is the solo to Frank Zappa's Watermelon in Easter Hay from his 1979 album Joe's Garage. Now, Zappa being Zappa, of course he's not going to drop a more traditional slow bendy blues solo into any of his compositions, because that's not who he was. What we got instead is the brilliant and jarring start-stop noodle fest that was typical of Zappa's guitar style, and I wouldn't have it any other way. That said, bit of improvisation going on in my take of this one. However, I feel that I nailed the all-around feel of this solo. Let's check it out. Onward to number 5. Number 5 is the Jimi Hendrix-inspired solo to Yellow Ledbetter by Mike McCready and Pearl Jam, one of the most famous slow jam guitar solos of all time. John Mayer had stated that this song and this solo were a major influence on him, as well as countless others, to pick up a guitar in the first place and learn how to play the instrument, and that Mike McCready doesn't get nearly the attention that he so much deserves in that very regard. Now, it is not the most difficult guitar solo in the world to play. However, it's one of the most memorable and tastefully played and constructed, and well deserving of its spot right here at number 5. Let's give it a playthrough and a listen. then, number 4, and sitting at number 4, we have the solo to Something by George Harrison and the Beatles. An instantly recognizable solo from a track that, near the end of the Beatles' run, somewhat propelled George Harrison's own songwriting skills at last to very near the levels achieved by Lennon and McCartney. Now, as far as the solo itself goes, it's impeccably phrased, basically melodically perfect, and stands as one of George's greatest individual guitar moments with the Beatles. You've all heard this one before, but let's give it a listen regardless. So then, at number 3, we have the absolute master of the slow blues jam, and B.B. King, with his intro solo and mid-song solo from 1969's The Thrill Is Gone. Now, here's the thing about B.B.'s playing that a lot of people just don't seem to get. While what he's playing may sound simple to play, it's actually not even close, because B.B. was a master of a lot of other things that don't come very easy to a lot of players. 1, melody. 2, vibrato. 3, phrasing. 4, dynamics. 5 and 6, feel and touch. I could continue. See, when I first learned this solo, I knew all the notes, but I still couldn't get it to sound right after numerous takes. Something was definitely off in my playing, and what was off were all the little nuances in B.B.'s playing. All those things that made him such a great player. Not until I played the solo with my eyes closed and listened very, very carefully to every single note that I was playing did it finally start to come together. Touch, feel, and dynamics. That's what I'm talking about. Let's give the solo a listen. Right then, number 2 on our list, David Gilmour and Pink Floyd. Now, of course, the most famous of all of David's solos would have to be Comfortably Numb. And yes, that certainly qualifies as a slow jam guitar solo. However, that is not going to be my pick. Too obvious? Maybe. Personally, I've always been partial to the mood-setting and ethereal opening solo to Shine On You Crazy Diamond from the band's 1975 album Wish You Were Here. Played in free time, this is Gilmour at his most Gilmourish. Perfectly precise slow bends of every magnitude, vibrato absolutely on point, and his uncanny ear for melody with the right note seemingly played perfectly at the right time. With nothing but droning synthesizers behind the guitar parts, the solo practically carries all of the exquisite melody throughout. This is my pick at number 2. This is the intro solo to Shine On You Crazy Diamond. So then, number 1, and it goes to Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin, and the intro solo to Since I've Been Loving You from the band's 1970 album Led Zeppelin 3. Likely, or else it wouldn't be here at number 1, my favorite slow jam guitar solo of all time. Also one of the most famous and well-known intro guitar solos of all time. Now, we all pretty much know that Zeppelin's music was deeply rooted in the blues, and that Jimmy Page was one hell of a blues player. However, the blues that Zeppelin covered and were inspired by was usually given that Led Zeppelin treatment by being twisted and molded into something that they could call their own. And that usually meant giving the song a bit more of a rock and roll bent to it. Not so with this opening solo, for the most part. This is pure, unadulterated slow jam blues playing by Jimmy Page. Well, of course, until it isn't. We're in near the end of the solo when he kicks on the distortion and drives the solo into a higher gear. However, it's still blues rock guitar soloing of the highest order. And in my opinion, a fine pick to slot right here at number 1. Let's check it out. Well, there you go. I certainly hope you enjoyed that. Now, it goes without saying that I likely missed a couple of really outstanding slow and easy guitar solos that might leave you scratching your head as to why I didn't include them. Brothers in Arms by Mark Knopfler comes to mind. Bell Bottom Blues by Eric Clapton is another. Purple Rain by Prince, another good one, of course, amongst many others. And of course, I left off Comfortably Numb. Shame on me. However, I had to keep it to just 10, and these are 10 of my personal favorites. Regardless, if you did enjoy this video, please hit that like button right down there. Drop me a subscribe if you haven't done that already, as that would be very kind. Hope you're well out there in your little guitar corner of the world, wherever that may find you, and we will see you next time. Cheers.